The conflict in Yemen has escalated dramatically. The U.S. has taken decisive military action in response to recent events. This marks a significant shift in the U.S.'s involvement in the region. The situation is complex and requires careful consideration. The U.S. has been providing support to the Saudi-led coalition in Yemen for several years. However, recent Houthi attacks have changed the U.S.'s calculus. The U.S. is now taking a more active role in the conflict. This includes increased military support and direct military action. The U.S.'s decision to escalate its involvement in Yemen is a significant development. It reflects the U.S.'s growing concern about the situation in Yemen. The U.S. is seeking to protect its interests in the region. These interests include ensuring the free flow of oil and countering Iranian influence. The U.S.'s actions in Yemen are likely to have a significant impact on the course of the conflict. It remains to be seen whether the U.S.'s involvement will lead to a resolution of the conflict or further escalation. The situation is fluid and unpredictable. The U.S.'s escalation in Yemen is a reminder of the complex and volatile nature of the Middle East. The U.S. must carefully navigate the region's challenges. It is essential to find a peaceful resolution to the conflict in Yemen. The U.S.'s actions will have far-reaching consequences for the region and beyond. The U.S. military is employing new tactics in Yemen. This is in response to the changing nature of the conflict. The U.S. aims to achieve its objectives quickly and decisively. The focus is on targeted strikes and a rapid response. One key aspect of the U.S.'s new approach is the increased use of airstrikes. These strikes are being carried out with greater precision and frequency. The U.S. is using advanced technology to minimize civilian casualties. The goal is to degrade the Houthis' military capabilities. In addition to airstrikes, the U.S. is also deploying special forces units. These units are conducting covert operations against Houthi targets. They are gathering intelligence and disrupting Houthi operations. Their presence on the ground is a significant escalation of the U.S.'s involvement. The U.S. is also working closely with its regional allies. This includes providing intelligence sharing and logistical support. The U.S. is coordinating its efforts with the Saudi-led coalition. This collaboration is essential for maximizing the effectiveness of the U.S.'s military operations. The U.S. military's new tactics in Yemen are a clear departure from its previous approach. The U.S. is demonstrating its willingness to use force to achieve its objectives. The situation is being closely monitored for any signs of escalation or unintended consequences. The Houthi rebels in Yemen have proven to be a formidable adversary. Their air defenses have held strong against U.S. airstrikes. This has posed a significant challenge to the U.S.'s efforts to establish air superiority. The Houthis' resilience can be attributed to several factors. One key factor is the Houthis' access to advanced weaponry. They have acquired sophisticated anti-aircraft systems from their allies. These systems have been effective in shooting down U.S. drones and intercepting missiles. The source of these weapons is a subject of international concern. Another factor is the Houthis' tactical acumen. They have adapted their tactics to counter the U.S.'s air power. They are using camouflage, decoys, and mobile launchers to evade U.S. surveillance and targeting. Their ability to adapt has surprised many military analysts. The Houthis' success in countering U.S. air power can also be attributed to the challenging terrain of Yemen. The country's mountainous terrain and dense urban centers provide ample cover for Houthi fighters and equipment. This makes it difficult for the U.S. to conduct effective airstrikes. The Houthis' resilience in the face of U.S. military might is a testament to their determination and capabilities. Their air defenses have proven to be a significant obstacle for the U.S. The U.S. will need to adapt its strategies and tactics to overcome this challenge. The conflict in Yemen is not simply a local affair. It has become a proxy war between regional powers. Iran's shadow looms large over the conflict as it seeks to expand its influence in the Middle East. Iran's support for the Houthis has added fuel to the fire. Iran views Yemen as a strategic location. It provides access to the Red Sea and the Bab al-Mandab Strait, a vital shipping lane. Iran has been accused of supplying the Houthis with weapons, training, and financial support. This support has enabled the Houthis to sustain their fight against the Saudi-led coalition. Iran's involvement in Yemen is part of its broader strategy to challenge U.S. hegemony in the Middle East. Iran is seeking to establish itself as the dominant power in the region. It is using proxy forces like the Houthis to advance its interests and undermine its rivals. The U.S. views Iran's involvement in Yemen as a serious threat to its interests. The U.S. is concerned about the flow of Iranian weapons to the Houthis. The U.S. is also worried about the potential for Iran to disrupt shipping in the Red Sea. This could have a significant impact on the global economy. The geopolitical rivalry between Iran and the U.S. is a major driver of the conflict in Yemen. The two countries are locked in a struggle for influence and dominance. This rivalry has exacerbated the conflict and made it more difficult to find a peaceful resolution. The conflict in Yemen has far-reaching consequences. It has destabilized the entire region and created a humanitarian catastrophe. The stakes are high for all parties involved, and the search for a peaceful solution remains elusive. The conflict has already claimed the lives of thousands of civilians. Millions more have been displaced from their homes. The country is on the brink of famine. The humanitarian crisis in Yemen is one of the worst in the world. The conflict has also spilled over into neighboring countries. The Houthis have launched missile attacks on Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates. This has raised fears of a wider regional conflict. The international community is struggling to contain the crisis. The conflict has also created a breeding ground for terrorism. Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula, or AQAP, has exploited the chaos to expand its operations. The group has carried out attacks in Yemen and beyond. The US considers AQAP to be one of the most dangerous terrorist groups in the world. The stakes in Yemen are high for the US and its allies. The conflict threatens to destabilize the region and undermine US interests. The US is caught between its desire to counter Iranian influence and its reluctance to get bogged down in another Middle Eastern conflict. The US faces significant challenges in its campaign in Yemen. The conflict is complex and intractable. There are no easy solutions. The US must carefully weigh its options and consider the long-term consequences of its actions. One major challenge is the difficulty of achieving a decisive military victory. The Houthis are a determined enemy, and they have the support of Iran. The US could escalate its military involvement, but this risks dragging the US into a quagmire. Another challenge is the humanitarian crisis. The US is providing humanitarian aid to Yemen, but the needs are overwhelming. The conflict has created a dire situation, and it is only getting worse. The US must find a way to alleviate the suffering of the Yemeni people. The US must also navigate the complex web of regional alliances and rivalries. The US is allied with Saudi Arabia and the UAE, but these countries have been criticized for their conduct in the conflict. The US must balance its support for its allies with its commitment to human rights. The US faces a difficult task in Yemen. There are no easy answers and the stakes are high. The US must pursue a multifaceted strategy that addresses the military, humanitarian, and diplomatic dimensions of the conflict. The future of Yemen remains uncertain. The conflict has reached a stalemate. Neither side is able to achieve a decisive victory. The international community is struggling to find a way to end the fighting. One potential path forward is a negotiated settlement. The UN has been leading efforts to broker a peace deal. However, these efforts have been hampered by a lack of trust between the warring parties. Another possibility is a continuation of the status quo. The conflict could grind on for years with neither side able to gain the upper hand. This would be a humanitarian disaster for Yemen. The international community has a responsibility to help the Yemeni people. This includes providing humanitarian assistance, pressing for a political solution, and holding those responsible for war crimes accountable. The conflict in Yemen is a tragedy for all involved. It is a reminder of the human cost of war and the urgent need for peace. The world must not forget the people of Yemen.